Spring break is over, but before students left campus, there were still plenty of fun and free activities available to help kill some time before the holiday. Coming up, we'll show you how students could rock out and take home a special music-themed keepsake.
The Texas Tech campus is made safer every day by a group of people who take an oath to serve and protect all Red Raiders. Find out how one university group gave the student body a chance to meet members of the Texas Tech's police force while enjoying a free tasty treat.
And the Texas Tech basketball teams are making their way back home after their latest run in March Madness. We'll have the details on every matchup along with a wrap-up of the latest action on the diamond in sports.
This is the MCTV Weekday Update.
Welcome to the Monday edition of the MCTV Weekday Update. I'm Logan Lacy.
And I'm Aiden Wasson. The campus is a lot more active today as students are returning back to class after spring break.
The campus calendar is also back in full swing today, but Red Raiders also had quite a few options to choose from before leaving campus for the week-long holiday. The Student Activities Board continued with their fun and free options by providing 3 events before spring break. On Tuesday, March 10th, SAB kicked off the week with Melody Mania in the sub courtyard. Students were invited to stop by and show off their virtual music skills by competing in a round of Guitar Hero or Rock Band. As soon as they finished rocking out, attendees headed over to a table next to the gaming consoles where they could have a special jewelry item made out of guitar picks. Students could choose between a necklace, bracelet, or keychain to be created with their choice of beads and guitar pick. Attendees could then take the keepsake with them, all for free with the student ID. Along with Melody Mania, SAB also gave Red Raiders a chance to decorate their own trucker hat on Wednesday and compete in a pickleball tournament on Thursday. This week, SAB is also hosting some fun and free events, starting with the chance to brighten someone's day with random acts of kindness tomorrow, build your own biome at the Wallgates Residence Hall on Wednesday, and a free night of gaming at Dave & Buster's on Thursday. For more information on all of these events, search for Texas Tech SAB on Facebook and Instagram.
Most Texas Tech students are very aware that the university has its own police department, and for some Red Raiders, that might be a little intimidating. But one student group recently held an event to help students feel more comfortable here on campus. On the Tuesday before spring break, the Student Government Association held a special event outside the sub. Members of the SGA joined police officers in the free speech area for donuts with TTU PD. Students passing by were invited to grab a free donut and meet members of the Texas Tech Police Department. Officers were available to answer questions, hand out information about the Tech Alert System, or just chat with students who wanted to get to know the men and women who protect and serve the university. Tuesday's event was part of the SGA's Safety Week. Safety Week is an annual set of events organized by student government to give Red Raiders the opportunity to learn about resources on campus that help keep students safe. Donuts with TTU PD was just one of the week's events, which also included a bike tune-up by University Recreation and Safe Escape, where students could pick up a free bag of essentials before leaving for spring break.
If you've ever spent time at the Rec Center, you know that there are plenty of options for students to stay active while having some fun. And one of those options also allows students to engage in some healthy competition. TTU intramurals are one of the fundamental parts of UREC's operation. The program features various tournaments and flash events covering a wide variety of sports, including volleyball. The Sunday and Monday before spring break, UREC hosted an ongoing intramural volleyball tournament that was open to all students. Players competed on courts 6 through 8, starting on Sunday afternoon, with a championship round finishing up the contest on Monday evening. The championship game was held on Monday night, with the winning team earning a set of intramural volleyball championship shirts for each member. The tournament offered a fun escape for students, including some Red Raiders who practice at the Rec Center almost every day.
Just like, I always got something else to do, something fun to do. I'm not just bored sitting in my room, studying all day for exams and stuff. Every day, like me and my friends come out here every single day to play volleyball, exactly 3:30. It's kind of just like cool off, have some fun, you know what I mean? Yeah.
The intramural volleyball tournament was one of UREC's flash events. Flash events are short competitions that usually last for 1 or 2 days. UREC has several more flash events along with traditional intramural sports seasons, continuing until the end of the spring semester. For a full look at the upcoming intramural sports calendar, visit imleagues.com/TTU. If you happen to get back from spring break a little early, you might have noticed that temperatures were surprisingly warm here in Lubbock. In fact, it felt a lot more like summer than spring. So what can we expect as classes return this week? Aiden joins us now in the Weather Center with details on this week's MCTV forecast. Aiden?
Thanks, Logan. And temperatures were certainly pretty crazy high this past weekend. We were hitting record high temperatures, in fact, but today it is a little bit cooler. Looking at the tower cam behind me, we have a pretty partly cloudy day, a little bit of a breeze, and it's feeling a lot cooler than what we were experiencing over the end of spring break because, like I said, we were hitting record high temperatures. Yesterday, we were at 96 degrees. Our record set in 2018 was 90 degrees, and the day before, on Saturday, we were at 98 degrees. That is an all-time high for March, and typically we sit at 70 degrees, so these temperatures are surprisingly high for this time of year. But like I said, the temperatures are starting to cool down a little bit today because across the South Plains, we are sitting at those high 60s to low 70s, and we're at those temperature ranges we usually expect for this time of year. But even though the temperatures are starting to cool off, we're still pretty dry across the South Plains. Overall, encompassing most of the South Plains, we have a severe drought in effect, and as the winds start to pick up throughout the week, this severe drought can mean wildfires can spread very easily, so just make sure to keep an eye on that. But looking across the South Plains for our forecast lows tonight, we're sitting at pretty mild temperatures across the South Plains with places like Friona at 41 degrees and then Snyder at 50 degrees, so all pretty much in those 40s across the board. And then for our forecast highs tomorrow across the South Plains, we're starting to climb up in temperatures once again. We're sitting at those high 80s, maybe mid 80s to even those low 90s in places like Gale at 91 degrees. So we're starting to climb up in temperatures. But here in Lubbock tonight, we're at 45 degrees tonight, and then tomorrow in Lubbock is a pretty nice day. Once again, we're climbing up in those temperatures, but it is still lower than what we were experiencing over the past week, because now we're sitting at 88 degrees, mostly sunny, and a little bit of wind, so it's going to be a pretty nice day tomorrow in Lubbock. But looking at our 3-day forecast, like I said, those temperatures are going to start climbing even more, because Wednesday we're at 95 degrees, and then Thursday at 98 degrees. This means we could be meeting or possibly even exceeding that record high temperature we reached this past Saturday. So keep an eye on that. Make sure to stay safe in the sun out there. But looking at our 7-day forecast, there is a pretty significant cool front coming in Thursday night, dropping the temperatures down to 46 degrees. And then Friday during the day, we're sitting at 56 degrees. The temperatures will start to rebound going into the rest of the week, with Saturday at 60 degrees, Sunday at 79, and then Monday we could be going back into those 80s. And then our lows are all across the board, because we have something as low as 37 degrees over Friday night, and then Wednesday night we're at 60 degrees. So they're all over the place across those lows. But guys, just remember on Thursday, that 98 degree mark, we could be meeting that record high temperature, and we can possibly even get higher than that. So if you have any outdoor plans, make sure to bring plenty of water, and maybe as you're walking to class on Thursday, you might want to prep some extra sunscreen as well. I'm Aiden Wasson with weather. Back to you, Logan.
Thanks, Aiden. Both Texas Tech basketball teams made national headlines over the weekend as they played in the NCAA tournament. But unfortunately, both teams are already heading home after a rough Sunday. The Red Raider basketball team started off the weekend schedule with an 11:48 a.m. tip time in Tampa, Florida. Texas Tech faced the 12th-seeded Akron Zips in the first round of the Midwest Regional. The Red Raiders were still missing JT Toppin, but the team came together to win 91-71. 5 players finished in double digits, including Jalen Petty, who scored 24 points, including 5 three-pointers. Unfortunately, the men's team's luck ran out yesterday night after a late-night start against Alabama. The Crimson Tide held Tech to just 4 three-pointers, while the Tide hit 19 out of 42 attempts. Alabama also out-rebounded the Red Raiders 35-47 and controlled most of the first half, scoring 49 points to Texas Tech's 25. The Red Raiders were much more competitive in the second half, but it was too late as Alabama advanced to the Sweet 16, winning 90-65.
The Lady Raiders had a similar story in the Women's March Madness tournament. The only difference is that the women's team made history, both good and not so good. The Lady Raiders made their return to the NCAA tournament on Friday night for the first time in 13 years. Texas Tech met up with Villanova as a 7th seed in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. The Lady Raiders put up a fight, but the Wildcats never let up, leading to a tie heading into halftime. Tech trailed at the end of the third quarter, but the Lady Raiders pulled out all the stops in the final period, with senior Bailey Maupin putting the game out of reach, scoring the final 6 points. The Lady Raiders went on to secure their first March Madness victory in 21 years with a final score of 57-52. But Texas Tech's positive marks in the history book ended yesterday afternoon, with the Lady Raiders taking on the number 2 seeded LSU Tigers. LSU is considered one of the favorites to win the national championship, and unfortunately, they took advantage of their second round game to prove that point. The Tigers hit 35 field goals, 24 of 26 free throws, and had 32 points off of turnovers as they outplayed the Lady Raiders 101-47. Not only was it a tough loss for Texas Tech, LSU's 101 points scored set a new NCAA record for 100-point games in a single season. But even in the loss, the Lady Raiders still made it farther into the tournament than the team had gone in more than 20 years.
The results for the Red Raiders on the diamond this weekend were a bit more successful than on the court. Texas Tech baseball opened up their second conference series of the year on Friday against Arizona in Tucson. The Red Raiders won on Friday 9-5 before dropping Saturday's matchup with a score of 6-14. But Tech's bats came back to life on Sunday, allowing the Red Raiders to secure a 12-10 victory and their second Big 12 series win of the year. Texas Tech softball also continued conference play on the road against UCF in Florida. The Red Raiders came into the game still ranked as high as number 2 in some of the polls, and Tech worked to keep that ranking this weekend, with the Red Raiders winning all 3 games, starting with a 4-3 victory on Friday, followed by 9 unanswered runs to end Saturday's matchup early, and then a series sweeping 7-2 win on Sunday. Sunday's victory not only gave Tech their 3rd series win, it also secured their 30th victory of the 2026 season. Texas Tech baseball heads back to the Diamond tomorrow night in a midweek matchup with New Mexico at Dan Law Field. Red Raiders softball will stay on the road and head to Stephenville, Texas for a makeup game tomorrow against Tarleton State. First pitch is set for 5 p.m.
So Logan, did you watch any of the Red Raiders sports in action this week?
Yeah, I watched all 4 basketball games, and it's tough to see their seasons end.
Oh yeah, I'm going to miss my glorious GOAT, Jalen Petty, but hold on. Who is your pick for the NCAA men's tournament champion right now?
I think I have Arizona. I think they're the best team in the country right now.
Okay, fair enough. I personally got Duke on my radar, but hey man, Arizona is pretty good. I won't doubt them. They might make it. That's all for today's edition of the MCTV Weekday Update.
Thanks so much for joining us, and be sure to check ttuhub.net every day for more news. We'll see you on Thursday.